Jacqueline, Julian, and Charlotte. We followed Mr. Tushman into a small room across from Mrs. Garcia's desk. He was talking as he closed the door to his office and sat down behind his big desk. Though I wasn't really paying much attention to what he was saying, I was looking around at all the things on his desk. Cool stuff like a glove that floated in the air and a Rubik top cube made with little mirrors. I like his office a lot. I liked that there were all these neat little drawing and painting. I stared on the words, framed like they were important. Mom sat down in a chair in front of Mr. Tushman's desk, and even though there was not a chair right next to us, I decided to stand behind her. Why do you have your own? Mom said she doesn't, I said. You mean, why do I have an office? Asked Mr. Tushman. You said she learns the place, I said. Oh, well, I was kind of kidding. Besides, she is my assistant. Mr. Tushman is the director of the middle school, Mom explained. Do they call you Mr. T? I asked, which made him smile. Do you know who Mr. T is? He answered. I pitied a pool, he said a funny dull voice, like he was imitating someone. I had no idea what he was talking about. Anyway, no, said Mr. Tushman, shaking his head. No one calls me Mr. T, though I have a feeling I called a lot of other things I don't know about. Let's face it, a name like mine is not easy to live with. Do you know what I mean? Here I have to admit I totally laughed because I knew exactly what he meant. My mom and dad had a teacher called Mr. Bert, I said. Aggie, said Mom, but Mr. Tushman laughed. No, that's bad, said Mr. Tushman, shaking his head. I guess I shouldn't complain. Hey, so listen, I guess here's what I thought we would do today. Is that printing? I said, pointing to a frame painting behind Mr. Tushman's desk. Aggie, sweetie, don't interrupt, said Mom. You like it? Said Mr. Tushman, turning around and looking at the painting. I do too, and I thought it was pumpkin too, until a stranger who gave it to me explained that it is actually not a pumpkin. It is, are you ready for this? A portrait of me. No, I ask you, do I really look that much like a pumpkin? No, I answered, though I was thinking yes. Something about the way his cheeks perked out when he smiled made him look like Jack-o'-lantern. Just as I thought that, it occurred to me how funny there was. Cheeks, Mr. Tushman, and I started laughing a little. I shook my head and covered my mouth with my hand. Mr. Tushman smiled like he could read my mind. I was about to say something else, but then all of a sudden I heard a voice outside the office. Kid's voice. I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but my heart lightly started beating like I'd just learned the longest lies in the world. The laughter I had inside just poured out of me. The thing is, when I was little, I never minded meeting new kids because all the kids I met were really little too. What's cool about really little kids is that they don't say stuff to try to hurt your feeling, even though sometimes they do say stuff that hurt your feeling. But they don't actually know what they are saying. Big kids, though, they know what they are saying, and that is definitely not fun for me. One of the reasons I grew my hair long last year was that I like how my bangs cover my eyes. It helps me block out the thing I don't want to see. Miss Garcia knocked on the door and poked her head inside. They are here, Mr. Tushman, she said. Who's here? I said. Thanks, said Mr. Tushman to Mrs. Garcia. I guess I thought it would be a good idea for you to meet some students who will be in your homeland this year. I figured they could take you around the school a bit, show you the lay of the land, so to speak. I don't want to meet anyone, I said to Mom. Mr. Schmidt was suddenly right in front of me. His hands on my shoulder, he leaned down and said very softly in my ears, "It'll be okay, August. This a nice kid, I promise." "You're going to be okay, Augie," Mom whispered with all her might. Before she could say something else, Mr. Schmidt opened the door to his office. "Come on in, kids," he said, and in walked two boys and a girl. None of them looked over at me or Mom. They stood by the door looking straight at Mr. Tushman like their life depended on it. "Thanks so much for coming, guys, especially since school doesn't start until next month," said Mr. Tushman. "Have we had a good summer?" All of them nodded, but no one said anything. Great, said Mr. Tushman. "So, guys, I want you to meet August, who's going to be new student here this year. August, these guys have been students at Bishop Prep since kindergarten, though of course they were in the law school building, but they know all the ins and outs of the middle school program. And since you are all in the same homeroom, I thought it would be nice if you got to know each other a little before school started. Okay, so kids, this is August. August, this is Jagwell." Jagwell looked at me and put out his hand. When I shook it, he kind of half smiled and said, "Hey," and looked down at Lily's face. "This is Julian," said Miss Tushman. "Hey," said Julian, and did the same exact thing as Jagwell. Took my hand, pulse. A smile looked down her face. "And Charlotte," said Mr. Tushman. Charlotte had the blondest hair I've ever seen. She didn't shake my hand, but gave me a quick little wave and smiled. "Hi, I guess. Nice to meet you," she said. "Hi," I said, looking down. She was wearing a bright green Crocs. "So," said Mr. Tushman, putting his hand together in kind of slow clap, "what I thought you guys could do is take August on a little tour of the school. Maybe you could start on the third floor. That's where your homeroom class is going to be, room 301. I think Mrs. Shi is room 301. Mrs. Garcia called her from the other rooms. "Room 301, Mr. Tushman nodded. "And then you can show August the science lab and the computer room. Then work your way down to the library and the performance space on the second floor. Take him to the cafeteria, of course." "Should we take him to the music room?" asked Julian. "Good idea, yes," said Mr. Tushman. "August, do you play any instruments?" "No," I said. It wasn't my favorite subject on account of the fact that I don't really have ears. Well, I do, but they don't exactly look like normal ears. "Well, you may interest in the music room anyway," said Mr. Tushman. "We have a very nice selection of percussion instruments. I guess you've been wanting to learn to play the drum," Mom said, trying to get me to look at her, but my eyes were covered by my bangs as I stared at a piece of old gum that was stuck to the bottom of Mr. Tushman's desk. "Great. Okay, so why don't you guys get going?" said Mr. Tushman. "Just be back here," and he looked at Mom. "Half an hour, okay?" I think Mom nodded. "So is that okay with you, August?" he asked me. I didn't answer. I said, "Okay, August." Mom repeated. I looked at her now. I wanted her to see how mad I was at her, but then I saw her face and just nodded. She seemed more scared than I was. The other kids had started out the door, so I followed them. "See you soon," said Mom, her voice sounding a little higher than normal. I didn't answer her.